Hello, knife community, knife lovers, knife enthusiasts. Folder here. I want to do a review on the Giant Mouse Ace Grand in micarta and Elmax steel. It's not like this review hasn't been done before by others, but I'm going to do my take on it. I found a few things very interesting about other reviews I've seen, and then once I actually got the knife and had a chance to sample it myself, you know. So, okay, so let's just get maintenance out the way. This is an 8-inch knife. Sweet spot. I mean, exactly 8 inches. You're talking about 3.5-inch blade length and 3.25 cutting surface. Handle 4.5 inches. Almost exactly 4.5 inches, actually. Okay. Nice knife. Beautiful, beautiful size. It's in the sweet spot. It's in the golden zone. This knife comes in at, come on. Okay, comes in at, voila, 4.7 ounces. It's not light. It's not incredibly heavy. It's not as heavy as my another 8-inch knife I have that has titanium scales, obviously, right? 6.1 for my Manix with the titanium. This is very heavy. So, yeah. Micarta is obviously going to be lighter because it's micarta. Okay. And a few comparisons. Let's compare it to the PM2, which we know that if it's an 8-inch knife, the PM2 is a little bit bigger. Not a shock there. Compare it to the Manix 2, the Spyderco Manix 2, which is another 8-inch knife. So as you can see, these knives are very comparable. Even the height of the blades at its highest. This is a tall blade too, but the Manix is up there. It comes down, it tapers down, of course, because of the shape, but very, very similar knives. Okay, sweet spot, that 8 inches. How about a Demko AD20? Demko AD20. It's a big knife, big, heavy, beefy knife. And this knife is over 8 ounces with the titanium scales. So, but yeah, that's what it looks like next to a Demko. And just one more. How about the Chaparral, a smaller knife? So it looks like next to a knife that's considerably smaller than it, with a small blade there. All right, enough of that. So when I say this, don't stop the video, because I know there's a lot of micarta lovers out there. I am not the biggest fan of micarta, and I'm gonna tell you why. Because of the OCD. I'm a neat freak, and micarta a lot of times is not neat. Okay, so let me say this: I love micarta. I like the fact that it's light. I like the fact that it feels incredible in hand. The only thing I don't like about micarta is when it's dirty over here and clean over here, and you turn it over and then underneath here it looks a certain way, and over here looks a certain way, and then the oils made this part extra dark, and I just can't. I can't do all that. So what I did was, when I got this, the first thing I did is oiled it, and that was about 2 days ago, and it was much darker 2 days ago, and now the oils are starting. It was probably as dark as this part, this little dark section. The whole handle was like this, and now it's starting to wear off. It's starting to dry up, the oils. I used a mineral oil, a food grade mineral oil, and just went through the knife and put it on there nice and even. And all I want is for it to age evenly. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for it not to age and everything. I just want it to age evenly. I want all parts of it to, if it's going to be dark, let it all be dark. So, and this is a micarta that's a little bit firmer. This micarta, it's not as you know, it's not as soft and corduroy feeling and porous is probably the word I'm looking for. It's not as porous. It's a little closer to how G10 feels. So yeah, it's a harder micarta. Yeah. So let's start with the blade and work our way back. Okay, we have Elmax steel, and I'm not going to necessarily get into the steel because I don't want this video to be super, super, super long. But Elmax is Elmax, excellent steel, excellent. It's a super steel, comparable to S45, S35, and 45. The blade on this knife is my absolute favorite shape, a tall harpoon. I'm not a big fan of harpoons if the blade isn't tall. This blade is really tall. It's a broadsword, and I love that about it. It's crowned at the top. The jimping is just beautiful. I mean, it is just absolutely, yeah, it's really nice. The finish is a satin finish, and it's got a deployment hole. There's no flipper tab. There's no thumb stud. It just has a deployment hole that has a shape that, aesthetically, I love the way it looks, but functionally, sometimes my finger gets kind of caught in there, a little bit weird. That's just me though. So, but listen, it is what it is. Sharpening choil. It's not really a finger choil here. Yeah, it's not a finger choil. So sharpening choil and plunge grind are perfection. Just what you'd want to see in something like this to have the blade be preserved in sharpening. The fit and finish of this knife is absolutely spectacular. So I don't really have any complaints about the blade. Okay. Moving down, like I said, you have, was it 8s and 6s? And then you have a double-sided tip-up only wire clip. I like the wire clip on this. Yeah, I like the wire clip on this. It's very functional. It's a lot better, in my opinion, than the way Spyderco does it. It has more of a steep angle. If you look at it, it comes back with a really steep angle down to the scale, and then it comes back up. So it really locks in nice, but it's not too much. I mean, listen, Spyderco's clips are phenomenal. It's just, I like the way this one looks a little bit better. They didn't stretch it out. It's nice. It also has a titanium backspacer that's really nice. Love it. It sort of balances the knife, honestly. Gives it balance so that when you're handling it, it does add some weight back here, much needed weight with the micarta. It has steel liners that are not really skeletonized. They're not, but it still isn't heavy. And I've seen numerous videos with complaints about access to the lock bar, and what I really have to say about that is, if the action of this knife, you're trying to use it how some other knives are used, then you'll have a problem with the access to the lock bar. If when you go to release the lock bar, you slide off the show scale and try to catch the lock bar like in this fashion here, try to catch it as you're coming off, it's going to be a frustrating ride. But if you just say to yourself, this is the action of this particular knife, I'm not going to come off the edge and catch that, because this is jimped, but it's scarce, and obviously the designers of this knife didn't want this part of the scale to be up here. So you have to say, if I'm gonna give up, right? I have to go with what the tool gives me. Well, you don't have to. You can modify it, which is also a choice. Like I said, we're back to choice, which is the most beautiful thing. You buy a knife, it's your choice, what you want to do, right? Which is great. But what I chose to do is, instead of accessing it on the corner, like say I got the Koenig Arius here, right? Koenig Arius, and I brought this here because I'm going to use these as a comparison, because these knives are very similar. I didn't realize how similar. You do the flick on the Arius, you deploy it, and then now the way the Arius is very thin here, and the way the frame lock is designed, you can come right across here and you can do your drop shutty, right? You come right across, you drop shutty, right? Come right across and it drops shut. Beautiful thing, sliding right across. Chamfered lines here, everything makes it very easy to flick and then slide right from here, catch that lock bar, and you're down. Because that's the way this knife's designed. This knife isn't designed that way. This knife is designed to, oh, well, we'll get back to the action. Okay, to deployment, right? After you deploy it, you can't just catch it here. You got to turn the knife here. You have to go to the lock bar and push it up. And it's more of a motion like this than over, right? You push it up and then it releases. And then drop shutty. So listen, I'm not telling experts how to operate a lock bar. You know, there are people who obviously know how to operate a lock bar, but they know what they want. I know that one of the reasons why we have so many knives is because they're different and the deployments are different. And I don't mind this being this type of deployment. You flick it open with the reverse flick, you got to turn the knife over completely, and then boom, right? You could do the A-OK. Oh, I'm embarrassing myself on camera. Wow, it's not even coming out. Reverse flick, turn the knife over completely, drop shutty. Drop shutty. That's what it is. That's what it is. So that's what we have here. It's a different type. I think that the designers of this, okay, you know, this thing is far back there. It really is. So I think that they just, listen, you take it, you come over, you push it, you just push it up. You push it in that direction, it goes right in. You take it past the detent and drop shut. So that's how it is. Now, I took this knife apart completely. Took it apart. I mean, totally. And I'm actually going to put some skiffs in here later. I didn't. I put the factory bearings back in. I noticed that there was some grease. There was some white grease around the bearings. And maybe that's what was preventing it from drop shutting. Some other knives from having that drop shutty action. So I cleaned all that grease off, and I used the KPL original knife lube. You know, this stuff, and I'm not advertising for them. I'm just saying this is what I put on there. Well, I put it on the detent, and I put some in the bearings. And then once I took it apart, man, the action. I mean, look at this thing. You got to get it past the detent though. But once you get it past that, drop shut. So it does have drop shut action. The you know what? This scale. Okay. So my blade is perfectly centered because I could see it centered with the backspacer, but this scale looks a little closer. So I think I have to adjust the scale. Yeah, I think maybe I just have to adjust. It looks like I have the scale a little too. Where's my screwdriver? Looks like I have the scale a little too tight on this side, and it sort of looks like it's maybe, I don't know. No, these aren't too tight. No, they're not too tight at all. Interesting. Okay, so I have to do. Am I imagining this? No, I'm not. Yeah, I have to do, yeah, I don't know. All right, well, listen, the blade is definitely centered. I'm looking at the blade centered right on the backspacer. It just looks like this scale is a little closer for some reason. I don't know why that is. Let me see. Oh, maybe not. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I think the so yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It looked like the scale was a little closer on this side for some reason. I'll have to take a look at it. I mean, it's not touching the blade. It's and then want to make sure that the blade is centered, and it is. It's right there. So yeah, I don't know. I'll take a look at it. But you take things apart. Sometimes it takes time for the knife to settle. Especially this knife. I took every single pin, every single screw, everything out. And yeah, so but yeah, no, that's it. I just wanted to do a quick review on this and really talk about the action and how it is absolutely drop shutty. Uh, this knife and the Koenig Arius are very similar. I didn't realize how similar they are. Of course, the Koenig's a little bit bigger, but not really. It's just like an area of the handle that extends a little bit further, and the lanyard. I don't know what this is. The lanyard slash backspacer makes it a little bit longer, but they both have that broadsword um, type look to the blades, which I love. I love tall blades. Not necessarily thick. When we talk about blades, I think a lot of people they say thick. Thick is the diameter, the thickness of the blade in this aspect. When you talk about this dimension, you're talking about a tall or short blade. Of course, this is length, but this is height, right? And so we need to say this blade is very tall, not thick, right? It's thin enough. It's a flat grind, almost a complete flat grind, and it's thin enough. I don't know what the dimensions are of it, but it's thin enough to be an excellent slicer. But it is a tall blade, and so is the Koenig Arius. Very, very tall, you know. And these knives are very, very similar. They feel very similar also in hand. Very similar. I mean, so, and that's why I guess I like this so much because I really am a big fan of this knife. I have a couple of these. I wouldn't buy another Koenig Arius. I mean, as much as I like this knife, I wouldn't. I don't need more than one. I mean, well, need past need with all this. Excuse me. I don't want more than one Koenig Arius. As much as I like the knife, I would never buy another one. If something happened to this knife, maybe I'd buy another one to replace it. But I'm not gonna have more than one. It's just how I feel about it. But I have a couple of these already, and You know, I actually ordered something else also that I'll introduce next week. But yeah, so that's it. So it's the Giant Mouse Ace Grand in my Carter. Um, the jury's out on the scales. I'm gonna oil them again. Seems like it lasts a few days. Uh, Trying to decide whether I'm gonna dye them. You know, I'm trying to decide. I'm just on the fence with the whole thing. You know, but yeah. So anyway, excellent knife. Really, really, really nice knife. Really, one of my favorites. One of my favorites is really a very competent knife. I mean, you could definitely make this hard use. You know, it's very comfortable in hand. It checks off all the boxes. You know, so yeah, that's it. So anyway, that's all I got. Thanks.